GMGP, good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered. And that's MVS and Justin Watson with some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues. If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up. Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow, comma, semicolon, period, next sentence, to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man Jay Rich.
Is that yes! Let's go!
So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up. We're Ray
and Jay
in the morning.
My God.
How good is
Dude.
he? How good is he? What's going on, DD Fantasy Football fans? Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Ray G, and we've got big news over here on the channel because DDFFB is rolling out channel memberships. This allows us to provide more of the content that you love for members and non-members alike. Now, these channel memberships are going to roll out in 2 tiers. We have the all gas tier for $1.99 per month. You will get custom badges, custom emojis that you can use on our streams and on our shows, as well as priority replies to comments that you post on the YouTube videos. The second tier is our trade and chill tier for $3.99 a month. You'll get all of the same benefits as the all gas tier, but inside of this tier, you will get exclusive early access to 2 feature shows on this channel. The new and improved Dynasty Deal Show with Scott Connor, Shane Manila, and Ty DeClaire, as well as the signature show on this channel, Destination Chill, between myself and Scott Connor. You will get early access to those videos ad-free. And if you're unable to support at either the all gas or the trade and chill tier, don't trip. All the content is still going to be right here on the channel. But for those of you who do want to show that support, do want to show that love and help us continue to grow, check out one of those 2 tiers. We wanted to give you something for that. Now, we appreciate each and every eye, each and every view, each and every listen. So if you're not a channel member, just hit that thumbs up button, like the channel, subscribe to the channel. It's all gas all the time. We'll see you soon in these YouTube streets. I'm out. Peace. GMGP. Jay Rich. Where's my music at, Jay? Hit the music, Jay Rich.
I appreciate the music is playing, right?
You got to get it for me, man. You got to get it. It is Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with myself and Jay Rich. We appreciate y'all being in the building. And yes, you saw the preview. Channel memberships on DDFFB. We recorded Destination Chill last night. Brand new show, the Dynasty Deal Show. Y'all get early access if you are a channel member to DD Fantasy Football. And if you ain't got the bread, if you ain't got the cheese, if you don't want to support, that's okay. You'll still get the show to just be late. Everybody else will have gotten it first. They will have deployed the strategies, gotten the information for about a week before you, but you still get to see it. So don't trip, don't bitch, don't moan, don't complain. If you ain't got $2 to support, you'll still get the same stuff. Jay Rich, how you doing this morning, baby?
I'm good, right? I am good. And it's funny because someone called me out in the chat for always responding the same way. But the reality is I don't have any other response. I have no insight. But Ray, I do have a question for you. Because over the weekend, I had to deal with...
Fredo became a member real quick, man. Shout out to Fredo. Fredo became a member. Appreciate you, Fredo. Appreciate you, big dog. Appreciate you, man.
But you are a parent. And I need some parenting advice from you.
Lord have mercy.
Because...
Pull out.
But I do have a dilemma.
That's the biggest piece of advice I give you. Pull out.
Well, thanks. Well, I will take
it's Monday
from here forward.
It's Monday. It's not Friday.
It's definitely not Friday. But how do you balance letting your kids make their own mistakes versus helping correct them before they happen? Because you have to let people make their own mistakes. Like, you have to.
You do.
But at the same time, you can't let them make too big of a mistake.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that? Because my brother's trying to buy a house, and I think he's a little
You know, it's funny, man. I had this conversation with my wife last week about my little sister, right? She took a trip to Mexico, and we were telling her, hey, this is where you want to stay. This is where you don't want to stay. Trust us. we vacation. Like you got to trust us, right? But my grandfather always told me, man, the best lesson sometimes is a bought lesson, right? The best lessons are sometimes ones that you have to experience and go through and pay for. So, with the kids, sometimes as long as it doesn't hurt them, as long as it doesn't kill them, I let them bump their head because sometimes that's the best way to learn is when you fall and you fail and you say, "Oh shit, maybe I should not climb on the top of the stairs and try to jump off onto a pile of pillows. It's just not going to work right." So I think in your case, he's an adult, right? He's an adult, and you'll have to go through some of that on your own before you learn. And I'm a big proponent of that. Even at my job, man, sometimes employees you gotta let them fail to learn, right? I'm gonna give you the leeway to fail. I'm gonna make sure it's not a catastrophic mistake that costs multiple people, but sometimes you gotta bump your own head to learn, dude. Sometimes you gotta bump your own head to learn, and I've got no problem letting my kids bump theirs as long as they don't do anything that seriously detrimental to their health. You let them fail, learn, and grow from there, man. That's what I got.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I figured I'd ask you, right? Good
Mhm.
little opening therapy session on a Monday morning, right? It's
I mean,
you
it got
getting a little
serious.
deep.
It got very.
Getting a little deep.
I'm ready to talk OTA clips. I'm ready to talk number
We're
two
good to go.
options in 2025. You got me going deep here. How do you let people fail and learn and all of that stuff? And then Luke said, "Why do we fall so we can learn to pick ourselves back up?" From Thomas Wayne. Absolutely, we all fall,
100%.
man. We all bump our head. We all learn. Now, I will say, like buying a house, that's one lesson you don't want to bump your head on too much. But I mean, we learned getting a pool built, dude. There's a lot of stuff that I learned throughout that process that I will never, ever, 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 ever do again. Right. And
Yeah, for sure.
you know what kind of lesson that was? A paid lesson. Like we had to buy this lesson and we're having to pay for some things now on the back end. But listen, goddamn, Jay Rich, this isn't wake up Monday morning therapy session. People want to hear about NBA. They want to hear about MLB. That Yankees Dodgers series, Jay Rich, Ohtani and Judge, first inning home runs. I was having a good time this past weekend, but we have another final set. We talked about the NHL Stanley Cup finals last week. We got an NBA finals, Jay Rich. We got it set. Pacers Thunder. We got the MVP versus Tyrese. I thought I was going to get the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals, Halliburton, and went to Pascal Siakam. Oklahoma City Thunder, Jay Rich, they play tomorrow night. Thunder Pacers, who you got and why?
Do they play tomorrow night? Really? I thought they didn't start till Thursday. Starts on Thursday, I'm pretty sure.
I knew it was one of the days with a T.
Well, that's good. I will take the Thunder. I imagine you will as well. I don't think it's as far apart as the book prices are. I believe like last time I checked, it opened at like -500 for the Thunder to win. That seems a little much, right? Like in a regular game, right? These two teams play. They're not -500 to win, which again, it's a series, not a game.
Right.
But it still seems like a hefty price to pay. I did want to know though if there is any Indiana Pacers fans in the chat. It seems like there's a couple.
There are none. There are zero.
What is Pascal Siakam's nickname in Indiana, and does he still retain Spicy P? Because we used to call him Spicy P in Toronto, and I've always wondered if he kept that nickname in Indiana because it's just a funny nickname. But yeah, OKC in 5 for sure. They're going to win.
OKC in 5.
Russ couldn't get it done because he sucks. Screwed Kevin Durant early in his career. Screwed James Harden. But I think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to lay the foundation, set the stage for what will finally be a final. And a win for Oklahoma City.
Y'all, Brandon is saying Thunder in 5. OKC, Ricardo. Y'all aren't giving the Pacers any kind of credit. Man, okay. All right. We got, Patrick says Spicy P to me. Always. Yeah. Spicy P to Patrick. Spicy P. So there you go. Pacers Thunder. This is the last little bit of NBA we get. And apparently, I was looking at some of the analysts saying that this summer, and I don't know why this summer, but they said it's going to be pretty wild as far as NBA drama, team and player movement. We'll
Shams
see.
was saying that, right? It could be
Shams
nuts,
was saying that,
depending on what happens.
Said it was going to be kind of wild, man. Said it was going to be kind of wild this year. Yeah. Halliburton, I see people in the chat. Pacers not that bad. No Russ disrespect. Don't disrespect.
All Russ disrespect.
In here.
All disrespect to Russ.
And then
He's
Jamar giving no respect, no love at all. Oklahoma City in 4. All right, Jay. Well, we do have some long-awaited camp clips, my dude. We have some long anticipated, long awaited, much discussed OTA camp clips as the train marches forward, rides along the tracks. We continue to progress through the NFL offseason program, one step closer to training camp and inevitably the kickoff of the 25 season, which I'm incredibly excited for. But we talk about this player every single week because he's one of the biggest names in the sport right now. And we've continued to talk about this team not showing anything from the defensive side of the ball. But Jay Rich, I don't know if you saw it. The Jacksonville Jaguars heard our cry, and there are camp clips of Travis Hunter, all defense. Jay Rich, all defensive clips, no offense. Travis Hunter displaying those ball skills, going up against BTJ. Here's an interesting note. Wears the gloves on defense, does not wear them on offense at receiver. But here is Travis Hunter getting in some work as a cornerback, Jay Rich. So now that we have our first glimpse of the number 2 overall pick, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, the generational one, Travis Hunter out here strapping up whoever he's going against.
Nobody.
Incredible vertical leap. Talking to T-Law. Look at him just jumping up one hand and one hand. Are you a little more nervous about Travis Hunter's full-time wide? Look at Gladstone up there.
That's pretty cool, right? Throwing with Gladstone. Like, that's pretty cool. I like it. Yeah,
31. Cool. What have we done with our lives? We're here doing a goddamn wake up. Gladstone's 31 years old, and he's running the Jacksonville Jaguars. How you feeling about Travis Hunter's defensive camp clips? Are you buying and or selling this hype, Jay Rich?
I guess I'm buying. I thought he looked all right. You know, like, again, I haven't watched a lot of Travis Hunter. I think the gloves thing is interesting because do you know if he wears gloves during the games? I think he does, right? But in practices and stuff,
no, I don't think he does.
He doesn't wear gloves at all, right?
Yeah, I don't think he does.
Old school, right? You know, the old guys on the desks are going to love that. They're going to love that.
How are you feeling about finally seeing some defensive reps from Travis Hunter, the full-time wide receiver in which I've continued to call him? But he is. It's not a lie. It's not mythical. Yeah. It's not fake. He is taking reps on the defensive side of the ball at OTAs. This is something we hadn't seen. I know they said, oh, he's in the meeting rooms. You see him on the field doing defensive back work. Are you any more or less concerned about how much he's going to play on either side of the ball? And where do you think he lines up primarily?
I mean, I'm not really worried about it at all. He's going to play receiver. He's mostly played receiver in camp and practices, and the way that he's training right now for the season is at receiver. He's going to play some defense. We all know that. And I thought he looked pretty good. Like, he looked like a more than capable player defensively, and it was good to see him getting reps on that side of the ball. He's checking all the boxes, doing all the right things, and he's, more importantly, the cool thing with Hunter is, I think, Ray, when you just talk about, like, the player he is and kind of the way that we viewed him and some of the different stories you hear about Travis Hunter, like, he may be a leader on this team very, very quickly because so rarely do you get the opportunity to bond with the entire team in the way that he would in defensive meetings and offensive meetings on both sides of the ball. Like, all those clips, he's in the white jersey on defense. I'm sure he's more with the defensive guys, defensive coaches, like, all that kind of stuff is going to matter, and he's going to be the face of this team very, very quickly, if not already. But very excited for Travis Hunter. I mean, it's good to see him playing some defense. He wants to play defense, but zero impact for me offensively. I think he's going to still be dynamite overall on offense.
Primary offense. You haven't really given your opinion on this. Primary offense, primary defense. Your opinion.
Oh, definitely primary offense. Primary, I'd go as far to say 80% offensive snaps to 20% defense.
Yeah. And Tyler Trout said it in the chat. Appreciate you being here in the comments. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're here watching, take half a second and hit the thumbs up button, like the stream. He said, buy the nervous owners. Like, there are people who are like, oh my God, he looks too good on defense. He this is why I was a little afraid or nervous or apprehensive about paying 102, 103 prices in rookie drafts for Trout. This is why. Ray, you told me don't panic. He's going to be a full-time receiver. I think somebody said in the chat, Scribble said we knew he was going to play some corner. I mean, they've already said he's going to play. What was the Coach Speak Index last week said that primary high leverage
probably high leverage situations, and we question whether that could work, right? Because of the nature of the high leverage side of things. But outside of that, like, it's going to be minimal.
This might be the last buy or sell hype because I feel like we're going to talk about this player for a little bit. I've seen a TikTok video, like spoofs and memes of this player and being nervous to draft him. I'm hearing the concerns in some of these underdog drafts that we're doing about, I can't take him at his cost. I'm still a little worried about Captain America. Jay Rich, have you seen the Christian McCaffrey OTA? He's running around and looking pretty good, Jay. I've seen multiple clips of CMC progressing offensively, right? Running through the offense, carrying the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield. Looks good to me, Jay Rich. Okay, looks good to me. Now you're also talking to somebody who has shredded his Achilles tendon as well, and I know Christian McCaffrey did not have a full Achilles tendon rupture. I believe it was Achilles tendonitis.
Yes.
It still took him off the field, and he was a waste of a number 1 overall pick last year. A lot of people still nervous about that CMC. How are you feeling seeing Christian McCaffrey in OTAs move without limitation? Hear Kyle Shanahan talk about this offense still runs through CMC. Like our job offensively with no Deebo Samuel. You've got a player that's injured right now, and Ricky Pearsall, another receiver coming off ACL tear, and Brandon Ayuk. Like, why are people so nervous about CMC? Are you back in? Are you drafting him with full confidence? Are you buying or selling the hype that he is back?
I think it depends on the time, right? And what's that price? Because I'm with everyone that we should be excited. Like, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best fantasy football running backs we've ever seen, and one of the highest ceilings you may ever see in fantasy football, especially. But I do want to quote one of our biggest haters, Ray, because he made me laugh, and I saw this over the weekend. And our boy, Dark Side Dev.
Where's Dark Side been at, man? Dark Side.
That's a good question. I haven't seen Dark Side, and when he commented, I think on one of my tweets, I was like, "Is this the?" Or I saw one of his tweets.
Dark Side Dev.
This is the Dark Side Dev, and he said, and I quote, "Buying in on CMC is like wifing that hot girl from high school that's fat now, or buying that 5-year-old BMW from the auction. You missed the peak. It's not the same, bro." And I kind of agree with them just a little bit. Like, I kind of agree with them just a little bit. It's not that I agree fully, but I kind of hear where he's coming from. If you're paying 5 years ago prices, which, depending on the price, you may have to do that for Christian McCaffrey, it may not be worth it.
He's going late 1. He's going in the second round.
Late 1 isn't that crazy,
second
though.
Round,
like
204.
Second round, maybe, but like, if you're getting him in the third round, it's way different. When you're getting him in the first round, it's like, okay,
maybe in a
people.
dynasty startup, but season.
I'm just saying, right? Like, so you're still paying a first round pick for him, which you don't want your first round pick to bust. Some of them will, and it's going to happen, but it's not exactly a cheap price. It's not exactly a cheap price. So I am in on CMC. I would take the risk on him for sure, but you have to be aware of what the risk is, and that's him getting hurt again. Because as you mentioned, if Ricky Pearsall is injured and Brandon Ayuk is slow to come back in 25, so what are we going to do? Just give CMC 30 touches a game after he was hurt all of last year?
Okay.
Like, that may not work either. So I think you do have to be a little bit cautious when you're paying first round prices, and going all in on CMC could be a problem. But how do you feel about him? Like, do you have no concerns?
Jimbo said, give me all the late first, early second CMC. I don't care. Jimbo said, give it all to me. Alex said that 49ers schedule is looking nice. Said it's looking
very
nice.
Good. It's very good.
We had a couple of other people who completely agreed with you, who said, Jonas Wales said, no way I'm paying prime CMC prices for 25. Baxter says, great analogy, Jay Rich. Daniel Perry, damn, Dev cooked with that one. And this is first time commenter from the parenting segment in the beginning of the show. Let's effing go, y'all. Start my week right. Appreciate y'all. How do you say this name? Montero. EJ Montero.
What, in Texas they don't got, you ain't a little bilingual down there, right?
My mind went L. I was thinking EL. I was saying El Montero.
El Montero?
I was thinking El Montero. EJ Montero. Appreciate you coming, EJ. I guess if he's healthy, and I'm just reading what, listen, every quote and comment's probably going to resemble something similar, but this was yesterday. I thought yesterday he looked like his 2023 self when he was out there. There was burst there was speed. He looked like he was rearing up and ready to go, which is obviously a huge deal. This is
Yeah, for
people
sure.
who are at the OTA practices that are watching him saying, all this looks great in practice, right? When you're not getting hit, when your body's not getting twisted around, when 300-pounders aren't falling on you, I'm still gonna draft Christian McCaffrey. Like I'm more in line with Jimbo that I'm gonna bump my head again, right? I'm gonna pay for that damn lesson one more time with this
Yeah.
player who I do not believe is past his prime, with the player that I believe is going to be the focal piece of this offense between he and George Kittle. I'm still in for one more ride with Christian McCaffrey being the top dog in San Francisco. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, so I mean, let's just. I figured I'd bring this up only because we're talking about McCaffrey, anyways. But if you look at his injury history, the best time for him, at least in terms of when he recovered, has actually kind of been his second season off of major injury, right? So in 2020, he was hurt. He came back the following year, only played 7 games, and obviously it was sparingly at that. Then followed it up with his monster season when he got traded to Carolina midseason. And then you go back to 2022, he got hurt again, only played 6 games, followed it up with an 11-game season the year after that, and then he had his 2023 where he had 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns. So it's kind of like you have to be aware that he may miss some games, but he's usually pretty productive in the games that he does play. So we'll see.
It's
Different
the
injuries every
ultimate.
time, so.
It's kind of like the ultimate play, right? You either swing and you hit it big. I don't. I
For
feel
sure.
like the range of outcomes are very extreme for him. He's either going to be freaking CMC great, or that damn Achilles flares up, and then he ends up getting.
And I think that's the
shelved,
problem, right?
Like,
For a first round pick, he has an extremely wide range of outcomes. Extremely wide.
yeah, yeah. I'm still in though, Jay. I guess I'm still. I don't want to say buying the hype, but I'm still in on Christian McCaffrey.
You're
I'm
above
drafting him.
market, is what I'd say, right? You think you're a bit above market.
Maybe, and if that's the case, then I'm okay with being a little
Yeah,
above.
so be it.
Okay. All right, Jay. Let's move on to what I wanted to discuss because I think it's an very interesting topic. Pass catchers in offenses. Like I'm trying to get a game plan together. I've dove headfirst into these underdog draft streets. I'm balls deep in these super flex puppies. I'm having a good time over here doing this, and I started thinking about pass catching options and where players are being drafted. I'll just say DJ Moore going 2 rounds ahead of Rome Odunze right now, which a lot of people still think he's the number 1. So it got me thinking, like, we need to revisit this topic of number 2 options going into the 2025 season. I saw some people yesterday on X talking about Devontae Smith going into his age 27 season, and like the upside is limited and they don't throw a lot. Is he still this? Do you still consider him one of the elite number 2 options in the NFL? So we are going to go our top 10 number 2 options in these offenses. And some of these options are going to be damn good, Jay Rich. And we're going to have a debate and discussion around some of these players where we have them slotted. We've got about 10, 11 names to throw in there. And I'll save DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. I'll save them. They won't make the list yet. So we'll start off number 10, number 2 pass catching option in chat. Holler at us in the chat and let us know what you think. So Jay Rich, the first contestant that I have up, I don't think there's any debate. This player is the number 2 option on his team. I've got them ranked 10th going into the 25 season. That is the Atlanta Falcons' Darnell Mooney. Jay Rich,
Okay.
Darnell Mooney just fell short of 1,000 yards last season playing in tandem with Drake London. You also have Kyle Pitts out there, Bijan Robinson. We know the triplets in the offensive core for the Atlanta Falcons. We know they had to go through quarterback, kind of a quarterback carousel with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix. Darnell Mooney's first season with the Falcons was last year. So I've got Mooney and London, number 10. And, I've got Mooney, number 10. As
Mooney,
the
yeah.
number 10th best, number 2 option in the NFL going into 2025. Your thoughts on Darnell Mooney landing inside the top 10?
I'm a little surprised. I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised, but I think it's a good name. It's a name that people hear and they're like, oh, Darnell Mooney. I don't know about that. The second, like the top 10, Top 10, Ray. Number
Top
two
10,
option
number
in the NFL.
two. Top 10, number two.
Sounds kind of crazy, but we will get through the list. But I like it. I like Mooney a lot. He was great for Atlanta last year. Having the continuity with Penix for the entire season should be good for everyone involved. You know, a lot of people are saying, oh, London could be the number one wide receiver, but what if Mooney has a better year as well as a result, right? Kyle Pitts maybe phased out of the offense, potentially on the trade block as well. We know Bijan's going to be heavily involved, but that target competition may be even less coming into this season. It may be more solidified at the top where it's just Drake London and Darnell Mooney with a decent amount of Bijan as well. So while it sounds kind of crazy from, I think, maybe a talent perspective, Darnell Mooney was damn good last year and probably will be this year as well.
People ask, what does the Trinity say about Mooney? Pretty good. 6.43. So he's right in that wide receiver 2 range. He's inside that cutoff mark. Little below the line, right? So there's a little, he could do a little better. 12 points per game, 6.43. Not bad for Mooney. I'll just say that's where you want your wide receiver 2 to be. Like, he's not the goddamn 1, right? If I just put London up here, and you could see, if I could spell London, if we put London on the screen, update the chart, there goes your 1, Drake London, Big London, 7.5, and then you got Mooney right there. That's a good offense. Like, that's a piece of an offense that I want. So I've got Darnell Mooney coming in at number 10. Jay Rich, you were a little surprised by that, so we'll continue up this list, and we'll see if there's any more clarity as we work our way up. All right, coming in at number 9. This feels like a number 2 wide receiver that could finish much higher, or the offense could just go to shit like it kind of did last year. But this is still a very good player, Jay Rich, and maybe fallen a little bit from the early rookie hype. But coming in at number 9, I'm going Jaylen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, Jay Rich. Jaylen Waddle coming in number 9 as the best number 2 options for 2025. He and Tyreek Hill. I still think Tyreek is the one in Miami. Like, I don't think there's any changing of the guard. A lot of this hinges on Tua and his ability to stay healthy. But if Tua's healthy and London and Hill is healthy and Waddle is healthy, Jaylen Waddle's a top 10 number 2 option in the NFL, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing with Waddle is that he's a player that probably could be a 1 on many offenses. It's just he plays with Tyreek Hill. And we're going to find that up with a few of these guys. But I do like Waddle a lot. And he's dealt with injuries. He's dealt with poor quarterback play. He's dealt with Tua getting hurt, like Tyreek has as well. But, you know, we've always kind of seen the potential that Waddle can show when he is healthy, and he has had some spectacular performances. So we'll see how it goes for him this year. I wouldn't say it's a make or break year, but it'll be interesting to see how he's viewed in NFL circles, because he's never really taken the reins in Tyreek's absences. He kind of just disappears alongside with Tyreek, right? And so I think the Miami Dolphins need to find ways to utilize Waddle a little bit better. And honestly, I think he should be utilized more down the field. It feels like he's only utilized in like short area.
Unless Tyreek is out, right? Unless Tyreek is out. That's when you
even when Tyreek is out, right? Very rarely do you see Jaylen Waddle running a streak down the sideline. Like, you just don't see it. And maybe it's because it's not a big part of their offense, but it's his best asset. It's his speed. It feels like it's a little bit underutilized at times simply because he plays with Tyreek Hill. But, I mean, it's coming off a season where he had his lowest yards per game by a lot. Yeah, even injuries aside, he's not just
Trinity's pretty low. Right, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's not ideal for either of these guys, which just lets me know this offense was pretty stank last year. When Tyreek Hill, who's historically up here in the 7s and the 8s, he's in Darnell Mooney range. I mean, it's 6.64. I mean, Mooney might be the 1 in Miami, right? You got Jaylen Waddle. Listen, you need to be above a 5, and he's above a 5. He's right at the line. This lets me know that these two are probably really good, but offensively, everything went awry for the Miami Dolphins, which it did. So both of them need to be better next year, but I think a lot of that is predicated on the quarterback. So we've got Darnell Mooney, number 10, Jaylen Waddle, number 9, and this is one where we're going to have a debate. We're going to have a debate here. We're going to have a realistic, where are we at today? Not what we think or we saw at the beginning of last season, but today, right now, Jay Rich. And I'm not going to say who the 1 or the 2 is off the rip. I'm going to let you and the people decide. Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice.
Okay.
Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice. Right now, I've got it listed as Xavier Worthy is the 8th best number 2 in the NFL to Rashee Rice's number 1. But But there are some OTA clips, and I'm just telling you who's number one in the drills. It's Xavier Worthy. I'm going to tell you who looks like he put on a little weight. It's Xavier Worthy. I'm going to tell you the player that I think is the closest comparison to Deshaun Jackson that we've seen in the NFL since D-Jax was drafted in the second round by the Philadelphia Eagles in 2008. That is Xavier Worthy. I'm predicting an effort season from Mahomes. Xavier Worthy to take that next step up and ascend to be that number one wide receiver. But where I got it right now is I got him as the 8th best number 2 in the NFL. Where are you at with Rice versus Worthy 1-2? And is this too high for the X-Man?
So you have Xavier Worthy as the 1 or the 2?
I got him as the 2. I got him as the 2.
Okay, because what you were saying, I think the chat was confused because I was confused as well. It sounded like you were saying that Worthy
you heard
was.
What you wanted to hear. You heard what you wanted to hear.
Everyone is saying the same thing. Like the way you said it, it seemed like you said Worthy was the 1. But I agree with you. I think that Worthy is the 2. And we'll obviously get through this with a few other names, but we do need to identify, Ray, what makes a number 1? Is it the number 1 targeted player offensively?
Oh, come on,
I think where you'll go is it the player that you have to plan for defensively first, which I think is kind of where I would go with the number 1, and we'll get more into it with some of the other examples that we'll get into. But I agree with you. Rice is the 1. I think he'll be the most targeted receiver, especially amongst all receivers. Worthy's the 2. And I just don't think he's going to pass him. If Rice is healthy and playing
but he's not healthy right now, right? Or he's progressing.
Well,
or they say he's practicing without limitation.
No, he should be fine. He should be fine.
Okay.
If I'm saying health permitted, both players are healthy, it's probably the Rashee Rice show. And Xavier Worthy is a phenomenal complement to Rashee Rice. But yes, I think Rashee Rice is the 1, Worthy the 2. I might put Worthy a little bit higher on this list because I do agree with you. I think he's going to have a very good season. I think Mahomes is going to be really pissed off this year. Hearing things like Mahomes saying, I'll leave the Olympics to the young guys, like tells you really how focused he probably is. And he's not even entertaining stupid things like the Olympics. So I do think it'll be interesting to see what Mahomes we get this year. And I do think we get a bit of a pissed off Mahomes and he has a big season. So I'm with you. I think Worthy here is fine. I might put him a little bit higher though.
What was Rice's injury? Did he tear his ACL? What was?
I think it was like meniscus, wasn't it?
I'm not.
Maybe it was ACL.
Can somebody confirm
ACL? It wasn't ACL. But it was end of September though.
Just how have we gotten to this point where forever we have said you don't want to buy in, especially to pass catchers / running backs, the first season following an ACL tear? Do you really project week 1 he's just back out there, primary target hog for the Chiefs? Like, they brought back Hollywood Brown. They drafted Worthy in round 1. They picked up Are you sure? Like, right now, are you really confident in that, man? Like, I know we kind of want it to be the case. It's Rice, but like, I don't know, man. I'm very skeptical, Jay Rich. I'll just say that. And it's nothing to do with Rice's talent because I love him. Anybody knows, I'm just very skeptical of being like, that's the 1 out the gate. I don't know, man. PCL,
so
MCL.
There's like a whole bunch of different reports, but
it's every CL. Look at
there's like a bunch of. So I just Googled it, and the first thing that popped up was NFL News, and it said ACL. Either way,
Tyler saying VCR, DVDs.
Yes.
I mean, every 3-letter word is in the chat right now. PCL.
Apparently,
LCL,
it was a pretty big injury. But the bigger thing for me with Rice is that
BBL. What is going on in the chat? This is insane. He tore his BBL.
For him to be successful, I don't think it's necessarily the same level of success you'd expect from other receivers coming back from injury, right? Like, he's not a player who's going to be running down the field, stretching the field. He's going to be a hyper-targeted player that moves the chains. And so I think the way that he plays, sure, he tore his ACL, but if he's healthy and able to play...
It was his LCL. It was his LCL. And listen. Sorry,
he tore ligaments in his knee.
No one
just
knows.
Leave it at that.
Or his butt, potentially. Somebody said his BBL.
He tore ligaments in his knee, But if he's healthy and active, I think he's going to be just fine. And he'll get hyper-targeted in the slot. He doesn't have this crazy role where he needs to do a ton of stuff. He gets open, he moves the chains, and he can be hyper-targeted on this offense. He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
We need a break, man. All right. We're not even halfway through. We'll hit the like button. We'll be back. Just hit the like button. We need a break. Welcome in, everybody, for another stream over here on Bleacher Report NFL Daily. You can find Jay Rich and I every single week here on this app.
The moment I say it, they'll say, "Oh, yuck." And it's got to be Najee Harris, right? It's
that world is in an alternate timeline somewhere in the multiverse. It ain't here on Earth 616 or whatever. It ain't here. Jay Rich and I are on every single Thursday, 7 p.m. We are back. Wake up with Ray and Jay every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I promise you, we are not doctors nor surgeons. We're just trying to get some injury news. We appreciate y'all being here. Hit the thumbs up button, like the stream, like the content, the chat. We love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Moving on. Where are we at? Number 7. Jay Rich, I'm doing a switcheroo here. I'm doing a switcheroo from the show sheet. I've moved this number 2 wide receiver down to number 7. Okay?
Okay.
Love him. Normally discussed as like the top number 2 wide receiver in the NFL, but going into 25, I beg to differ. DeVonta Smith of the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. I've got Smitty to A.J. Brown's 1, right? Smitty's the 2, A.J. Brown is the 1, coming in at number 7 as the top 10 option, top 10 number 2 options in 2025. We've continued to talk about, this offense on the show and how little passing volume actually gets distributed to the receivers in this offense. Hence some of the frustration from A.J. Brown during the season, but it works for Philadelphia, Jay. They don't have to throw the ball 45 times a game when you've got the best running back in football, when you've got one of the better offensive lines in football, when you've got a disruptive defense. All you got to do is kind of run the ball, play ball-controlled offense, be efficient throwing the ball, and you've got a quarterback who's going to rush a lot as well. What are your thoughts on Smitty, most people put Smith as like number 1, number 2 up there with Higgins, and you just kind of put him up there, but I've got them a little lower on this list, Jay.
Yeah, I think the problem with Smitty is it's the argument of talent versus expectation. And from a talent perspective, DeVonta Smith is probably in the top 3 when it comes to number 2 wide receivers, but expectations-wise, significantly lower. And again, he could be a little bit higher on this list. He could be lower. We don't really know what we're going to get from the Philadelphia Eagles this year. But what I can tell you is that his yards per game has regressed every year since his second season, right? Which is the time that Jalen Hurts took over as starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. And so now you're in a situation where, yeah, sure, he missed some time last year and Hurts missed a game and all these things kind of matter. But there's not any progression from this offense. It's not getting better, right? Like A.J. Brown's numbers aren't going up, but he's not playing better.
The offense is getting better.
It's diversifying. Yeah.
Well, the offense is getting better. The passing, the volume is just not going to increase. Why will it? Why will Sirianni and Philly do anything different than what worked exceptionally well last year? I don't think Hurts is going to turn into the type of quarterback that's throwing the ball 40 times a game. They don't need to do that. They don't have to do that. It's not how they're built, not how they're set up. DeVonta Smith coming in at number 7 for me. So we'll see how we feel about some of these other players and if we need to move somebody up or down. Let's move on to number 6, the 6th best number 2 option heading in to the 2025 season. And again, Jay Rich, I'm deviating a little bit from the show sheet, right? I've got some thoughts and feelings about some players, so I have to deviate just a tad bit. I'm going to go here, Jay Rich. I'm going to go here with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans.
Okay.
Chris Godwin, Mike Evans.
Look at that. Looks like they're kissing. Is that a football kiss, right?
Kissing? Are they arguing? I'm the 1. I'm the 2. I'm the 1. Who's the 1? Who's the 2 here? Who's the 1? Who's the 2? And whichever one you want to pick, are we? Is it too low? Are we too low on the other one? Coming in at number 6, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans.
I would say that, at 6, they're probably too low.
With Godwin coming off of his fractured fibula and Mike Evans in his age 33 season.
So here's the problem for me. If he was healthy, Chris Godwin is the one.
I agree.
If he's healthy, Chris Godwin is the one because he's the player that you really got to watch out for. Mike Evans ain't the game breaker that he used to be. But he's a damn good number 2 if he's the number 2. So I want to know from the chat who they think the number 1 and 2 are. First and foremost. But I think Chris Godwin, if healthy, is the one. I think he's the better receiver. If he's healthy, I think he's much better than Mike Evans is. Mike Evans is still very, very good. But I do think that Chris Godwin is significantly better than Mike Evans. Even at this stage of his career, he is coming off injury. So that is a factor here. But in June...
Yeah, ankle dislocation, excuse me. Yeah, sorry.
In June, I'm not so worried about this. We're just talking about how we'd rank these guys, and I think health could come into play, but you don't need to be so specific here. But for me, yes, Godwin's the 1. Mike Evans is the 2. I would probably, even with my disrespect towards Mike Evans almost weekly, I'd probably have to put him like in the top 3. Because while his skills are slightly diminished,
I don't think so.
He's still a phenomenal wide receiver. There's a player not even on that I don't think it's even going to make your list that I'm surprised you didn't put him on. Because he's very, very good.
Well, we could talk about who's not on the list once we get through the list. Okay, so that's 6. Let's move on to number 5. Jay Rich, we're going in to the top 5 number 2 options going into the 2025 season, and we are going to come to where I live, my place of residence. Jay Rich, we're going to go to Dallas, Texas. Talk about that man, GP, George Pickens. Number 2 to CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott is back healthy. We know that there's nobody else on this offense to throw the ball to. You got some Flournoy, a little Jalen Tolbert, a little Kevontae Turpin, Brooks out there. It's George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. Like, those are the 2 guys, along with Jake Ferguson. Pickens is set up to really produce here. They've been looking for a number 2 option opposite CeeDee Lamb. All indications are it's going to work beautifully because their skill sets are so different. What are your thoughts about George Pickens inside the top 5 number 2 options for the 25 season?
I think it's tough, right? Because from a talent perspective and some of the other guys in this list, I wouldn't necessarily have Pickens this high, but the opportunity that he has this year is probably deserving of being right in that top 5, if not even higher than that. Like, when you just talk about players who have a tremendous amount of opportunity potentially this season for 2025, like, Pickens is probably right at the top of the list. Like, he really could be. And it's not because he's the best receiver, but man, like, Dak is just going to feed him the ball. It's going to be CeeDee, it's going to be Pickens, and, you know, both of us are very excited for Pickens this year and how it's all going to work. But yeah, he's definitely deserving of being in the top 5. Again, from the talent side, I'm kind of iffy on it, but he fits into the offense.
Keep saying that, what do you mean from the talent side? Like, what do you?
He's not that talented. Like, I wouldn't even have him in my top 10 of number 2 receivers from a talent perspective. Personally, I wouldn't. I think he's talented, but I don't think he's that talented.
I don't know where you get he's not that talented from. I mean, he's incredibly talented. I think that's
he does one thing very well. He makes contested catches, but he can't do anything else.
That's not
true.
He
hasn't shown anything else.
I think he's incredibly talented. That's why people are so frustrated. If he wasn't talented, people wouldn't be frustrated about the effort, about some of the situational lapses. It's like in sports when the coach is yelling at you and riding you and on your ass. It's because they do see the talent, they do see greatness, and they want you to perform and at the best of that ability. It's whenever you don't hear anything about the player and the coaches ain't worried about you, and they've given up. Like, I think people think he's incredibly talented. It's the consistency that's been the problem. The talent is undeniable.
I think people just view the one thing that he does well and say this is an extremely talented wide receiver, and completely ignore all the other things that makes wide receivers great. He's not a player that runs very good routes. He's not a player that separates. He's not a player that can do everything at the wide receiver position.
But that's the thing, Jay. You don't need.
Okay, but we're putting Devonta Smith down this list, but Devonta Smith is a superior wide receiver to George Pickens in just about every way.
No. You're confusing the topics and the conversations.
I'm not confusing the topics. I'm saying
we went through why Devonta Smith is down. You and I both agreed.
Yes.
Hold on. You and I both agreed that the Philly offense isn't going to throw the ball a lot, right? Like, we both agreed with that. It has nothing to do. If you want to just rank them by who you think is the most talented receiver,
I'm not saying
opportunity in the offense, right?
All I said is that he wouldn't be in my top 10 of most talented complementary wide receivers. I already said that he deserves to be in the top 5 because of the opportunity that should be at the forefront of him in 2025. But if I was ranking talent as number 2 options, I would not have George Pickens in that top 10.
I won't rank Steph Curry inside my top 10 power forwards in the NBA. It doesn't matter. We're not talking about the talent. We're talking about opportunity number 2 options.
I said he's more than deserving of being in the top 5. It's just I don't think he's the most talented player ever. And so it's balancing the opportunity versus the talent. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the show, though, right? We're talking about
But you have to balance that because he's a player who has talent and has shown it in some respects, but you're putting him in the top 5 with other very talented number 2 options as well. But he hasn't shown you the same level some of these other guys have. So you're projecting forward and saying he's going to be great, but there's always a chance that he's not as good as you think he can be. That's all I'm saying. Like you could have him in the top 3 if you think he's going to be phenomenal, but that may be getting over your skis.
Well, I had him at 5, not inside the top 3. Let's move on to number 4. I think you are dug into your wrongness here, and I'll let you just continue to go there. I'll let you just continue to rub your eyes in extreme, excruciating headache pain from the fake argument that you created and manufactured. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 on this list, we're going old man. We're going old man in a new situation. Old man in a new land. Davante Adams. Tay Adams, the number 2 to Puka Nacua, who is the number 1 option in Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay's LA Rams passing attack. Davante Adams coming in at number 4, Jay. We've already talked about how big of a weapon he could be in the red zone as far as touchdowns for this team. No Cooper Kupp. And we did see in very limited opportunities, the Rams really wanted to have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp on the field at the same time. It didn't quite happen. Adams finished the 24 season on fire despite a very up and down year for him where he played on 2 different teams. He's got a full offseason program with the Rams. He's got one of the best quarterbacks to do it of this generation. He's got a good receiver next to him in Puka Nacua. Should be a lot of one-on-one coverage for Davante Adams. Number 4 for Tay Adams. Jay Rich, talk about it.
I think he could be number 1. I really do.
Okay.
Of all the players on this list, Adams might have the best shot of being the actual number 1 in this offense. Like, Ray, if we turned around at the end of the season and we said, somehow, some way, Davante Adams saw more targets than Puka Nacua, more yards, more touchdowns, and was like a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, I don't think we'd be that surprised. Like, he was really good with Aaron Rodgers last year. We know he's going to be pretty damn good with Matthew Stafford. We all love Puka Nacua, but if you factor in the touchdowns, is Puka Nacua the 1 for sure, 100%? I think that's the question you got to answer.
Yeah, I think so, man.
I think so as well.
I think so.
But it's going to be close. Like, it's going to be close, I think, at the end of the day. And we'll see how it all plays out. I love Puka. He's phenomenal. They are co-alphas in every respect. And it will be game script dependent. But, man, both are really, really good. Really, really good.
Jay Rich, I mean, I'm looking
they could be the best duo in the league. Like, I'm looking
at both of these Trinity scores. Just all this is usage. If you don't know what this is, best usage tracker out there for wide receivers in fantasy football, and they're both off of the screen. I got to move the screen over.
Can't even see them.
I got Puka Nacua way up here, Jay Rich, 7.76, and this is Tay Adams, 7.59. I mean, and I know that's Adams' usage from the Jets, right? That's when he was on the Jets.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
my goodness.
They're going to get utilized a lot in this offense.
It's going to be a lot of targets to those 2 guys. I agree that of all the number 2s left, there's one that could be the 1 in their offense. But Adams is the 1 number 2 left that could be the number 1. I totally agree with you. So Davante Adams, number 4. Might move them up. Might move him up a little bit, Jay Rich. Might move him up a little bit. Let's go on. Top 3. Top 3 number 2 options for the 2025 season. Jay, I'm looking at number 1 on the show sheet. Should I move him or should I keep him? I kind of want to keep him there because it's an interesting debate, more so than anything. But let's move on to number 3. And this is totally a number 2. No chance that this player is the number 1 primary option for this team. But I don't think that matters. I think he could still be extremely good as the number 2 option in a high-flying offensive attack. Jameson Williams. Jay Rich. J-Mo. Number 3. Whoa. I'm in 2025.
You're this in on J-Mo?
Dude, was he not a first-round pick? Did he finally get to complete?
Former first-round pick, Jameson Williams.
Didn't he finally get to complete his first full season, playing the whole damn season?
Well,
and he was
played
1,000-yard
15 games,
receiver, right?
So.
Wasn't he a 1,000-yard receiver?
He was a 1,000-yard receiver, yeah. Was a 1,000-yard receiver.
Dude, J-Mo's
you are
legit.
in, dude. You're in.
I'm in.
This is surprising. J-Mo going his 24th season last year, right? Only 91
and he's wearing
targets.
Number 1. He's back to his old college number. Number 1.
He's back to number 1.
Back to number 1.
91 targets, 58 receptions, 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, 17.3 yards per reception. That's a lot. Can he maintain that level of efficiency this season? No Ben Johnson, because
no Ben Johnson.
And I have brought this up to you, and I do need your opinions on this, because I think the chat needs to know your thoughts here. How do you think it's going to impact him? Because while yes, we know that Ben Johnson created a lot of big plays, I do think to some respect Jameson Williams is one of the biggest benefactors of some of these trick plays, right? They're utilizing his speed and the misdirection and finding creative ways to create big plays for their big play threat in Jameson Williams. So now he's obviously in Chicago. Do you think there's a world where maybe he has to find a new identity in this offense in some respects because they're not going to be able to generate the same level of efficiency for him? Because he was very efficient. I mean, 17.3 receptions
you know why
is
he's
extreme
efficient,
efficiency.
Jay? You know why J-Mo's efficient, dude? Because it's kind of what you were talking about when we were talking about GP. They're not asking him to do things outside of his wheelhouse, right? He's running crossers. He's running vertical routes. He's running deep play action routes where Jared Goff is extended play action. You've got 2 dope running backs. You've got an excellent tight end. So you know what J-Mo will never see? 2 people over top. Like he's not going to see double coverage. You're going to get crushed by Amon-Ra underneath. You'll get crushed by Sam Laporta.
You're going to have to pick your battle, right?
1,000 yards on 58, and that was his first season getting through it, right? After Amon-Ra St. Brown had his rookie breakout, they still turned around and went and drafted J-Mo in round 1. Not just pick 20, not pick 32. What was he, the 12th overall pick? Like he was a top 15
Something
pick
like that,
by the Lions, right?
12th,
he got through his season, didn't get banned, wasn't making parlay bets in the locker room, and he went out there and dropped a dime on people, right? 1,000-yard season in his first full season. This is it. I am going to continue to buy in on this player, a part of a good offense who's just coming off his first 1,000-yard season in the NFL with the high draft capital and a great offense. I think J-Mo is an excellent number 2 option. You're talking about a pure number 2. I'm taking him over Mooney. I'm taking him over Waddle. I don't know about Xavier Worthy, but I've got a soft spot for Xavier Worthy. Adams, absolutely. I think you could put Adams ahead of him if you want to do that.
Yeah.
If you want to flip Adams. But I'm looking at everybody else on this list. I'm good with J-Mo, dude. I'm totally fine with Jameson Williams, man. Let's move on.
Yeah, people are either... Oh, sorry, go.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it feels like people are either really in or they're a little bit weary of what's going to be for J-Mo this season. Because
you got to make a bet, right? You haven't seen it multiple years.
Modern day Will Fuller is the great way to describe Jameson Williams, right?
Correct. The modern day Will, because you do have to make a bet.
He's
Jay.
your D-Jax, right? Like this.
No.
X. I think this is your D-Jax, right? Like where he's a bit more boom bust than you're hoping for.
I think here's what before you say that, I think you need to go look at D-Jax's stats. He was far more consistent than boom bust. He was far more consistent than a boom bust.
He's going into his 4th season, right? Like
I like Will Fuller for J-Mo. All right, top 2, number 2 options in the NFL going into the 2025 season. Jay Rich, this is This is the number 2 wide receiver that most people just have number 1. They just say, oh, it's T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. But I've got T. Higgins as the second best number 2 option in the NFL going into the 2025 season. Plays with, hell, you could say a top 2
number 1 option.
Well, I'm saying quarterback. You top 3 quarterback in the NFL. The number 1 wide receiver in the NFL.
Uno,
right? Uno, like literally uno. So he is the epitome of a number 2 wide receiver. When T. Higgins is on the field, Jay Rich, he's incredible. You could look at the Trinity. You could look at whatever you want. When he's on the field and healthy, T. Higgins is incredible. We know T. Higgins is, sometimes not available. So Jay Rich, the people in the chat, who the F is number 1? If you've got T,
you threw him for a loop.
If you got T number 2, who is numero uno, the best number 2 option in the NFL? Well, we will have a debate, Jay Rich, but quickly, thoughts on T. Higgins coming in at number 2?
Yeah, he's right up there. He's top 3 number 2 option. We know the offense is going to be great. We know Burrow is probably going to be very, very good this year. Zach Taylor still needs to be fired, but that's not going to matter on the field. Burrow will get it done. T will get the ball. Jamar will get the ball. And I'm sure, how many wins for the Bengals this year, right? Can we get them to like 11 wins? 11 wins for the Bengals? Hopefully.
I think the expectation 10. The line's probably what, 9.5 for Cincy, 10.5
with their schedule. Yeah, 9.5 is probably what it is for the Bengals.
Okay.
I'd say. I'd be surprised if it was at 10.5 because that's a high win total for us.
I see the chat talking about Addison. No Addison on the list. No Addison's on the list. There's kind of a theme here, right? You don't see any kind of rookies right there, right? Like any kind of rookie situations. No rookie QBs in here. I just got some second-year quarterbacks, and I know J.J. McCarthy's not a rookie, but first year, I even drafting him, I'm just like, I want to know if it's going to be just Jefferson. Is it Hockenson? How's Addison going to fit into the offense? I think they would be right there at like the number 2 spot. I don't have anybody from Houston, but the number 2 option for 2025, Jay Rich, it is not DJ freaking Moore and Rome Odunze, even though I have that graphic pulled up and ready to go.
Is it Kyle Williams?
It is not Kyle Williams. Has anybody said it in the chat, Jay Rich?
No one, I don't think, has said it. I think someone said it like a while ago. All
right, Jay Rich, we're going to pull them up. We're going to the NFC West. We're going to Arizona, and we're going to have a debate on who is the 1 and who is the 2. And whichever one is the 2, I think they are set and in line to be the number 1, number 2 option in the NFL this year. Everyone's favorite, Maserati Marv Harrison Jr., Jay Rich, the number 2 to Trey McBride in Arizona, is the best number 2 option in the NFL going into the 2025 season, because this is a player drafted 4th overall, the generational one, who's supposed to be the number 1 option for his team. But Jay Rich, I'm not so sure that he is. So I'm going to ask you the question first. Is he the number 1 option in Arizona? And if not, does that make Marv the best number 2 option in the NFL for 2025?
Okay, so this is where I think the schematic side of things has to be accounted for, because is he the number 1 target in the offense? I would say no. Would I expect him to get the number 1? Would I expect him to get the most targets on the team this season? I would say no. But from a defensive standpoint, Ray, do you think that DCs will still have to prepare for Marv a bit more than Trey McBride? Like, you still have to stop Marv. You can't let Marv go crazy on you, because in the few games that we saw him really excel, he absolutely slapped teams around because they didn't cover him properly and he went crazy. So I kind of agree with you. I think if I was putting together the number 2 option in Arizona, it would be Trey McBride, number 1, Marvin Harrison Jr., number 2. Putting him as the number 1 second option for 2025, though, that's tough. He wouldn't be ahead of T. Higgins. He wouldn't be ahead of Devontae Adams for sure. I think you can make the case I wouldn't even necessarily put him ahead of Devontae Smith. But
wow,
it's tough.
Are y'all
because even George Pickens, I could see a world where George Pickens had a better season than Marvin Harrison Jr. He's a very good receiver, but Ray, I'm not expecting him to get more than what? I'd say my realistic line for him would be 1,100 yards. If he had, could any of these other guys on this list have 1,100 yards? The answer is absolutely they could. It's just, do I think Marv's going to get much higher than that?
I mean, this is
I don't know.
Marv. Hey,
I don't know.
Marv turning into a legit underdog at this point. I'd love to see him blow up. Oh, in 1 year, the 4th overall pick, the generational one, has been relegated to being a worse secondary option than Devontae Smith, who nobody really wants. I'm not saying you're.
I'm just saying, you know, it's
think about that. He could be the number 1 option in his offense.
He could.
Right?
He could.
The number, as you look through all of these fucking names, which ones could be the number 1 option in their offense, Jay? Screw what we thought they would be if he's going to be a 1,900-yard pass catcher. The reality is, I don't believe Devontae is going to be the number 1 in LA. I don't. I don't believe 32-year-old Devontae Adams is going to be the number 1 over Puka Nacua. There's not a chance in LT Higgins is the number 1 in Cincinnati. There's no chance Devontae Smith is the one in Philly. And even if he was, how much does that even matter? A.J. Brown is there. Pickens, 0 shot. He's the number 1 in Dallas. 0 chance. 0. Big fat 0.
0.0.
Of all these receivers outside of maybe Worthy, he has the best path to leading his team in opportunities. There's no question. You can't give, if we're saying that McBride is the one, there's no receiver on this list or number 2 option that has the chance to have as much opportunity in 25 as Marv. Will he do it? Will he succeed? Will he ascend and take that step forward? I can't tell. You can't tell. We can't tell. But what I do know is I bet you he out-opportunities every other receiver on this list that is in that number 2 vein.
Okay, but here's the problem for me, and this is where the way I see it playing out is if he out-opportunities everyone else on this list, guess what, Ray? Then he's not the number 2. Then he's the number 1. And so your point is almost moot because if he is the number 2, because here's the other side of it. If Marv's the number 1, Trey McBride isn't making this list. I love Trey McBride. He's a great tight end, but he's not making this list. You're not putting Trey McBride on a list of top 10 number 2 options in the NFL. You're just not doing it, right? Because there's so many good wide receivers that are number 2s that you're just not going to put Trey McBride on that list because he has a limited skill set as a tight end. So I hear where you're coming from, and I do kind of agree that I think for this season and kind of the way I see it playing out, it will still be McBride and then Marv.
Okay.
But if you flip the script, McBride is not making this list. It's a bet against Kyler, and you're just saying, well, Kyler's still going to throw the ball to McBride a lot, and Marv's probably still going to be a number 2. But if he's a number 2, we don't know that he's seeing more targets than George Pickens. We don't know. He's definitely not seeing more targets than Devontae Adams, as far as I'm concerned. He's probably not seeing more targets than Chris Godwin or Mike Evans, who's definitely the number 2 in that offense. And so from an opportunity standpoint, I do think that if he's the true 2...
How many targets did Marv have last year? How many... Man, this is all that I am getting from this conversation is
he had 116.
He had 116 as a rookie, right?
116. He played every game, and that's a fair split when you look at the offense because the offense.
I know, Jay. It was not the generational season.
I'm just saying,
85 yards and 8 touchdowns, and we're just like, he pretty much did what Devontae Smith does every damn year. As a rookie, right? And we're just like, this dude's a bum. Certified garbage, right? He's not even the trash that's in a nice bag, Jay Rich. Go look in your waste bin.
He's in the greasy bag.
The bottom part where it's just old shit at the bottom of the bin.
Dumpster
that's
juice.
What Marvin. 900 yards, 8 touchdowns. No, thank you. No, he's awful. He's no better than Jalen McMillan out here, right? He's awful. What are we doing?
But the problem is that if the targets stay around the same, right? McBride 147, Marv 116, Michael Wilson 71. Clear hierarchy there. Unless Marv separates or closes that gap to the point where he's basically the 1, then you're getting a situation where it's like, but he's not the 2. He's the one. And so you can't really put him on a list like this because he's not the 2, he's the 1. So that's where it's like, if they flip and McBride gets 120 targets, Marv gets 140, and this is even still with 523 coming from Kyler, which for Kyler is kind of a lot. That's when you have to look and say, okay, like, how many can you really allocate to each of these guys? And Marv, if he's getting 130, he may still be the number 1 at that rate because he may be the highest targeted player on the team and the number 1 focus for the defense.
Smitty had 104 targets in his rookie year, 916, 5 TDs, 64 catches. This year, 68 catches, 833 and 8. I think you know whose fault it is for people not liking Marv? It's your own damn fault. It's all of y'all's faults because you came into last year and you were expecting Ja'Marr Chase out the gate. And because you didn't get Ja'Marr Chase out the gate, now you're overcorrecting to a point that's kind of laughable. You're talking about a player that had 900 yards and 8 TDs as a rookie. And there were times where he just went ghost, right? Multiple games where he didn't do shit. Interesting sentiment on Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison. I am taking notes. Jay Rich, hit the music. We got to go. I got WWE to get to. Sick Nasty sent us a super chat. I'm on the clock. Pick one. Harvey, Henderson, Judkins.
Henderson.
Harvey. So not Judkins then.
No, definitely not
Harvey
Judkins.
or Henderson, whichever one you want.
Do not pick Judkins.
All right. I'm off to Tulsa, Oklahoma, Monday Night Raw. Check us out. I'll be on TV tonight somewhere. We're watching some of that WWE tonight, Jay Rich. Anything you want to say to people before we get out of here?
No, thank you for tuning in. We're going to do more lists. Have fun tonight. We got to do way more lists.
We got to do more lists.
We got to do more lists. But Ray, come on. No Jordan Addison? Come on. Addison's great. He's great. He's an awesome receiver.
I just said it's the quarterback. Nobody on this list has a first-year quarterback. Nobody.
And no Rashid Shaheed. What's up with that?
Nobody on this list has a first-year quarterback. Not putting damn Shaheed on here.
I looked for the sounder for the guns, and I couldn't find a good one. So,
all right,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Appreciate y'all pulling up. Wake up with us on Wednesday. We will. Interesting thoughts on Marvin Harrison. We're gonna continue. I'm in on Marv. I think y'all are shitting on Marv a little too much. I think y'all are shitting on Marv and dogging him out a little too much. But I appreciate y'all being in the building. Thank y'all for watching. Wake up, hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe. Go to DD Fantasy Football, become a channel member, get exclusive access to new shows, ad free. You ain't got to sit through none of that BS. Right to the point. We appreciate y'all being here. Check us out on Wednesday. Have a great Monday. Make the week great. And we'll see y'all soon. We out. Peace.
Peace.